In obviously, so we're both musicians. We've both been musicians for.
Don't mind me. I'm grabbing that. I brought a cooler for the occasion.
Oh, nice. There you go. Heck yeah, man.
Oh, nice. There you go. Heck yeah, man. Gotta have a good bev. Um, so yeah, music culture in general tends to lean left if and when it leans political, or if and when it's political at all. Political at all, if I can speak today. um, But yeah, I was curious. Do you feel like you've seen the same in your years throughout being a musician? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? Or if you disagree, feel free to share your thoughts as well.
All right. All right. Well, I actually have a lot to say about this one.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, I've been a musician and I've been playing in bands and I've been musically active um, for many, many years now, almost 2 decades. And I've been listening to music since I was a young kid. Now, this is a big one because there's two sides of it for me. The first side of it is becoming an adult and becoming awake in your own way politically, and then the rediscovery of music that I used to listen to as an adult, and realizing, oh my God, I was listening to a band that was 100% like leftist, anarchist, you know, stands for X, Y, and Z, or completely, like F the system kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know what that meant when I was listening to it as a kid. That's the first side of it. The second side of it is the agenda, the cultural agenda, and how the music industry is involved in that. So there's two completely separate, sides to it for me. So, um, I guess to start with the first side, you know, it's disappointing now that I'm older to realize that, and they're all tied together. They're both tied together. These two sides for me. So, and I'm going to explain how. Um, so, in the process of realizing that, oh my God, like I'll give an example. Green Day. I listened to Green Day. I worshipped Green Day as a kid. Some of the first stuff that I learned how to play on bass. And then as an adult now, I realize like I follow, a couple of them on social media, and you see the stuff that they post, and you go back and you revisit an album like American Idiot. That's a
Yeah.
perfect example. And I revisited it and I listened to what they're talking about, what they're singing about, and I'm like, I don't really agree with that. I don't really agree with the point that he's making right now. System of a Down is another great example.
Cool.
They came from a very bad situation that continues to be a problem in the world in their country, and they sing about that, but they also sing about a lot of problems that they saw when they came to America. And it's interesting as an adult to think about that and read that and kind of unpack a lot of that too. Now,
Yeah.
the other side of it is in this hypersensitive cancel culture time that we live in, where politics, Shapiro has a, Ben Shapiro has a quote. I think it's actually from his mentor. If it's not from him, I think it is from his mentor. Politics is downstream of culture. And or culture is downstream of politics, however you want to look at it. Like it's all connected. And to think that, and to think that there aren't agendas, and to think that there aren't um, motives within culture to gain political power, to gain further gain in their agendas. Um, that would be foolish to think that, because that's absolutely what's happening, and the proof is all around us. The proof is in the pudding. The money in Hollywood is mostly coming from China. There's all types of propaganda. There's all types of propaganda in the music, in the movies, in the TV shows, now in the cartoons for the kids. I mean, it's all connected. And as a musician, it's been really, really alarming, because I think what scares me the most about all of it is, yeah, maybe I don't agree with what Green Day was singing about in their songs, or maybe, I don't agree with what this one rapper said, and, or what Eminem said today in his, latest bowel movement of a song, where he just gets on, and I'm an angry 40-year-old man, and I'm just gonna, complain about it. Um, they have the freedom to say that on the microphone. They have the freedom to get in the studio and get on the mic and spit their feelings, their thoughts, their views. I don't have to agree with it. I can still like the music, even though I don't agree with the band and what they stand for. It's getting harder and harder for me as a fan of music and as a musician to look past it. However, there are still songs that I like by people I disagree with politically, or what, based on what I see them share on social media, on their band pages and stuff. What scares me the most, and what should scare every creator of music and art out there, is the censorship side of it all. The freedom of speech is so encroached upon now that it's nearly gone, man. I hate to say it, but it's nearly gone. And it's become very clear to me in the music scene and the music industry, whether it's the rap world or the metal world, both communities that I have ties to, and both communities that I follow very closely. It's becoming very apparent to me that we're in big trouble, and there is one side of the aisle, and there is one machine that is making the moves and censoring one certain side of the aisle, or anyone that is anywhere connected, or maybe thinks a little bit or agrees with one side of the aisle, no longer has that right. As a musician, as a songwriter, that should scare everybody.
Right. Absolutely. Very well said, man. On everything, honestly, I really couldn't agree more with everything you laid out there. So yeah, you touched on a ton of good stuff. I had a very similar experience with Rage Against the Machine. I mean, I grew up, in high school. Even I think I had heard of them in junior high initially, but definitely carried them with me through like high school and even into college, and didn't realize until later, when I would have probably considered myself libertarian leaning, or like kind of, you know, um, anarcho-capitalist as well. But yeah, didn't realize until later, like, wow, these guys are, they all admit it, like they're all socialists. It's like that's their personal view. It's like, okay, that definitely changes my view on your music. I'll still rock out to the music every once in a while, but it's not going to be something that I look at with the same lyrical passion that I once did. And you said too, it's so easy to, you know, when you're a young kid, you don't necessarily understand like what a particular concept means, or like what they're trying to convey in the music, and you don't realize until later, like, wow, that was not at all what I thought it was. And yeah, some people want to tear down the system because the system is bad. Other people want to tear down the system and put their own system in place because they want to be the ones in power. So yeah.
And can I add something to that about the being a kid and not understanding? And that's a dangerous thing, because without knowing it, we were being conditioned by the music that we were listening to as kids. Those bands and those people, they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were singing about. And, you know, whether it was lack of parental supervision, or just carelessness. So many people were exposed to things that as kids that they in movies as well and shows as well, but we're talking about music. So, musically, lyrically, we were exposed to a lot of stuff that we didn't even know until we're older. And that's
Yep.
dangerous because that shows you that it works. That shows you that it if they can get that over your head as a kid, maybe with hopes that you'll grow up kind of having that tear down the system mentality or the extreme right wing kind of subject matter, which you don't really hear much because the music industry has, in my opinion, has always been just like Hollywood, where it's always been run by the left and it's always been run by complete leftists. And, you know, there's never been another way. You know what I mean? It's always been like that. And, you know, it's just, it scares me so much that we're losing. I can honestly say this. I never thought as a musician, especially, I never thought I'd get to the point where I have to be careful of what I put out lyrically in my songs because I could be taken off the internet like that. Lights out, done. I spent hundreds of dollars on recordings. I spend thousands of dollars on music videos. I spend all this money and time and energy on top of the creativity side of creating my art, all for somebody in big tech land who's really a bureaucrat is what these people are at this point. They're
Yeah.
they're literally doing the bidding of the White House and the leftist regime, and they're pushing the button, and black goes my screen, black goes my Instagram. Followers are taken, shadow banning happens. If I put out a song that doesn't that they deem is misinformation or whatever you want to say. I never thought I'd see that day in our lifetime, and I never thought that art would be this in jeopardy of being censored.